Critical reasoning section comes in GRE, GMAT and LSAT. In this video, we'll see some flaws that routinely appear in the arguments. Knowledge of this would greatly enhance your critical thinking skills. So let's get into it. The first error that we're going to see is making a broader generalization using a narrow sample. Let's assume that there are two persons, Anthony and Sarah, and they are from the state of Colorado. I find them to be friendly, so I conclude that people from Colorado must be friendly. The problem with this conclusion is that the sample size is narrow. Using two persons, you cannot make a generalization so wide that you say that people from Colorado must be this way. Okay. Sometimes the narrow sample is acceptable if the author says that the sample is representative or it typifies the people of Colorado. This means that the character that he finds in Anthony and Sarah will be shared by the people of Colorado. Okay. So when author just uses a narrow sample without qualifying using terms like a typical sample or representative sample, you must be questioning the conclusion. So this error can also be called as a generalization error. The second type of error is mistaking a correlation for a causation. Sarah is good at math and she gets perfect score in math. And I ask her what is the reason for a perfect score in math. She says that before the test she eats vanilla ice cream. That's funny, but that's the answer she gives and she believes in it. Sarah reasons that because eating ice cream happens before her test, that must be the reason for getting a perfect score. She's mistaking a correlation for a causation. In a case, two things are related, but she assumes that one thing is causing the other. Her real reason for her excellence in math might be a solid preparation or natural ability or any other factor. We don't know that. We'll take another example. A physician says that people who I find to have abnormalities in throat are snorers. So snoring should cause abnormalities. I would ask him, what if abnormalities are causing snoring? The other way. So the point is, when few things are simultaneously occurring, you cannot say one is causing the other. And if you say that, you're making this mistake of assuming a causation when there are merely correlations in what you actually see. The third flaw is mistaking a necessary condition for a sufficient condition. This is an error of high importance because it is frequently tested. I'll repeat it. This is mistaking a necessary condition for a sufficient condition. Okay, we'll study an example. In order to be a good athlete, one has to have agility, which means quickness in physical movements. Sarah has agility, so she must be a good athlete. The quality of agility is a necessary condition in order to be a good athlete. That is, if you don't have the quality of agility, you cannot be a good athlete. But having that does not guarantee becoming a good athlete because it is a necessary condition but not a sufficient condition. What if there are other factors like perception ability, motor skills, hand-eye coordination? All these things are required in order to be a good athlete. So with only necessary condition, you cannot conclude that an outcome will happen. But not having the necessary condition, you can be assured that the outcome is impossible. Okay, so this is mistaking a necessary condition for a sufficient condition. The next flaw is part is not the whole. An aircraft maintenance engineer says this: you can be confident that our security system will be working perfectly because I've checked each part of the system and each works very well. According to logic, the character of the parts need not reflect on the whole. So even if the parts are engineered or works very well, errors can creep in when tying the parts to make the whole. So always remember, parts character need not be shared by the whole. Let's see another example. Each chapter of this novelist is written realistically. So the novel on the whole must be realistic. So that's the conclusion the author makes. He says that each chapter of this novelist is written realistically. So the novel on the whole must be realistic. Again, the whole need not share the parts character. What if the author has made a messy connection among the chapters, although each chapter is done well? Okay. So part is not equal to the whole, and conversely, the whole need not share the character of the parts. The next flaw is terminological inconsistency. Here the author is not sticking to the same terms. In the course of his argument, he changes a term, resulting in confusion or a different meaning. Take this example. Divya is an infant aged 4 years and she weighs 12 kgs. The average weight of the infant in Coimbatore is 14 kgs. So Divya's weight gain is less than Coimbatore city's average. In the beginning, the author talks about weight in absolute terms, like Divya's weight is 12 kgs, and suddenly he says Divya's weight gain is less than the city's average. He's using a different term called weight gain. Weight and weight gain are not one and the same. So this is terminological inconsistency. You should be on the lookout for this error as well. This flaw is connected to percentage absolute number interpretation. Percentage of something is not equal to the absolute number. Now we'll go to this example. The author says 3.5% of Americans are unemployed as opposed to 16% in Turkey. So the total unemployed people in Turkey is more than that in the US. Here the author compares 3.5% and 16%, and because 16% is more, he says unemployment in Turkey should be higher. We'll use some numbers to prove this wrong. What if the total number of Americans is 1000 and total number of Turkish is 100? When you apply 3.5% to 1000, it is 35. And when you apply 16% to 100, it is 16. So the number of unemployed in Turkey is fewer than in the US, despite the percentage in Turkey being higher than in the US. So only with percentage and not knowing the actual numbers to which percentage should be applied, you cannot make right inference. So be aware of this flaw too. That's it, guys. These are some common flaws that will feature in critical reasoning questions. If you play the devil's advocate, that is, hold the author's argument to the strictest test, you'll master this section of critical reasoning. I hope this video is useful to you. Thank you, guys.